I think this is one of the best crop in recent years. It is very unusual that you will get 6 potential superstars. And of course, I'm speaking of Hakeem Olajuwon of Houston, Sam Bowie of Kentucky, Michael Jordan and Sam Perkins of the University of North Carolina, Mel Turpin of the University of Kentucky, and the round mound of rebound, or Boy Gorge, Charles Barkley of Auburn.
You know, that draft just changed everything. I mean, it changed everything. You get a Michael Jordan, you get a Hakeem Olajuwon, you get a Barkley, and suddenly all rules are off. The whole pecking order of the NBA has changed.
It was a Hakeem Olajuwon draft, 100%. Everybody was dumping games. I mean, that's why the lottery came into effect.
Well, I remember the coin flip between Houston and Portland, because I came out of school knowing that I wanted to be in Houston. And this was my best chance to come out, so I came out of college.
Before the NBA installed the draft lottery system, the league used a much simpler method to determine which team picked first at the draft: a coin toss. The owners of the teams with the worst records in each conference would meet with the commissioner, whose flip determined their fate. No envelopes, no ping pong balls, just heads or tails.
The World Series, the Super Bowl, the Masters, the Indy 500, and of course the coin toss for the first pick in the NBA college draft. These are the premier events in the world of sports. And with that fabled flip imminent, we have as our guest RKO Radio sports producer John Martin, who has devoted his life to a study of the coin toss. And John, we have the video of last year's draft. Just talk us through it, if you would.
Well, Keith, there's the flip. It's in the air. Once again called heads, and once again a tail.
Dramatic video.
The Rockets not only won the final coin flip before the lottery system went into effect, they won the final 2. And in 1984 picked Hakeem Olajuwon, keeping the University of Houston All-American home and pairing him with the top pick of the 1983 draft, Ralph Sampson.
I was, of course, very happy knowing that Houston won the coin flip. Always curious to see what it's going to be like if we play in another city. Because from Nigeria, when I came to Houston, I've always been in Houston. So I couldn't imagine starting all over again in another city.
Isn't it ironic that Houston, in successive years, will get Ralph Sampson and Hakeem Olajuwon?
That was the era of centers. You have to have a center. You know, Patrick Ewing came along after that. Moses Malone comes to the Sixers. They finally win. After all these years, they can't win. So the notion was Kareem's in L.A., you know, Parrish along with Bird and McHale. So you got to have a big guy. The game's played inside out still. And so everybody wants this guy, this one guy.
In basketball jargon, the phrase 7-footer has become an everyday occurrence. But if you've sat at home wondering just how big a 7-footer is, I'm 6'3", and he's 7 foot.
Ralph was a year before me, and I came in the following year. When you play with another 7-footer besides you, coming into the league, there was a lot of reinforcement and comfort, you know, to have that support.
It was a very dominant duo. I mean, we ended up making the finals our second year together. So Ralph and Rodney McCray were drafted in '83. Olajuwon and I come in '84. We make the finals in '86. We beat the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals, that famous Ralph Sampson shot.
McCray will inbound. 1 second on the clock. Sampson. It goes. It's over. A miraculous shot by Ralph Sampson.
Hakeem was more inside, Ralph was more outside, but they could switch roles. And you know, it's kind of the first time the Twin Towers concept was brought about. And you think about the San Antonio Spurs and what David Robinson was with Tim Duncan later on. It was kind of the template for that thing working.
It's interesting when you see a 7'4" guy have the first 2 assists of the ballgame. And that's one area that we really didn't get a chance to exploit last year. But Ralph Sampson can pass the basketball.
Ralph was a positionless player. He could play all 5 positions and was one of the best athletes, but he wasn't a master of none of them yet. But Hakeem had mastered inside, and we had all the shot blocking with him.
Yeah, Ralph had great length. Ralph was a legit 7'4". He had great length. So whenever he was around, you know, you had to be a little bit wary of where he was. Every year, Olajuwon just got markedly better, and I think that Ralph, injuries and just some of the things that happened to him, he wasn't able, I don't think, ever to reach that level. in the NBA that he had because he dominated college basketball. I just think injuries just kind of derailed his pro career.
The tragedy is that Ralph Sampson had knee problems. I'll never forget the night that he wrenched his knee. They had used some kind of solvent on the floor at the Summit in Houston, and this solvent was an oil-based solvent, and he hit one of those spots and he twisted his knee, tore his meniscus. And Ralph was just never the same after that.
The Chicago Bulls pick Michael Jordan of the University of North Carolina.
I was a GM in Chicago when we drafted Michael. We were third. Portland passed on Michael because they had Clyde Drexler and they had Jim Paxson. Paxson was an all-star. Drexler was certainly a coming all-star, and they felt they did not need a wing, so they didn't take Michael because of that.
We knew Olajuwon would be 1, Sam Bowie would be 2, and Michael Jordan would be sitting there for us. We were happy that Portland had 2 all-star 2 guards, and Drexler, who was a really tremendous player, and Jim Paxson. So we were in pretty good shape getting Michael.
Drafting Michael Jordan would prove the greatest personnel move in Bulls history. But the team nearly had the opportunity to trade away the foundation for 6 eventual titles before he ever arrived. In his book, Tip-Off, How the 1984 Draft Changed Basketball Forever, Philip Bondi tells the story of a potential deal that would have changed the course of NBA history.
It was a book about choices and what ifs. What if the Houston Rockets had offered Ralph Sampson to the Chicago Bulls as trade bait for Jordan, for that Jordan pick at number 3? And the Bulls would have taken that one. Who could have resisted Ralph Sampson after his rookie season?
That's right. As improbable as it sounds today, the Rockets might have teamed 21-year-old rookies Hakeem Olajuwon and Michael Jordan in Houston by giving up the reigning Rookie of the Year.
Ralph Sampson would have been enough. I'm sure of it, and I think that Rod had hinted that to me at one point when I was writing the book, researching the book. Sampson would have been enough.
Oh, we had several chances to trade that pick that year. We never, there was never anything really serious, but you always have talks, about different things.
The Bulls had talks about Jordan because Philly was the one who really wanted him, because Billy Cunningham is there running the team. So Philly's offering everything. Andrew Toney, before he got hurt, is the best 2 guard in the league. So they're offering 2 firsts plus Andrew Toney. So the Bulls, to Rod's credit, he understood Jordan was something special. And, and he rejected these other offers.
I'm not looking forward to going in and trying to live up to everyone else's expectations. I just want to go in and contribute the best way I could, and just look forward to whatever the coaches want.
Rod Thorne knew that Michael Jordan was going to be very good, but nobody knew that he was going to be as good as he turned out to be. Nobody.
The first practice they're both Agent Guardian Jim and Kevin Lockery's the coach. And now this is the first preseason practice. Jordan has shown up. He's played great in the Olympics, but it's still an amateur tournament for the most part. So nobody quite knows. He shows up in the first practice, and he's just dominating. I mean, they saw it, but they didn't know till then, until he showed up and said, whoa, what the hell we got here?
When we had Michael as the rookie, we started our one-on-one drill. But when we see how he could take that ball anywhere he wanted on the floor, I mean, this is really a strong young man at the time. We knew that he would be an all-star immediately. Didn't know he might be the best player to play.
He's quick and he can jump, and I'm slow and I can't jump. So I don't think I've ever seen anybody perform like he does. You take away his jumping ability, he could still be a great basketball player.
Jordan, of course, went on to become the greatest player of his generation and arguably ever, leading the Bulls to 6 titles. Olajuwon played 16 seasons in Houston, spearheading the Rockets to the 1994 and 95 championships. But what if MJ and Hakeem had played together? What if the trade described in Bondi's book, Sampson to Chicago for the number 3 pick, had come to pass?
I mean, we'd all be having a lot of jewelry on right now if that would have happened. I mean, the idea of Jordan and Olajuwon, because you think about Michael's run, the first 3 and the last 3 punctuated by 2 Rocket championships. I mean, it's unimaginable.
Not only are they transcendent superstars, but they're complementary transcendent superstars. As it is, they combined for 8 championships. Put them together, and they pretty much could have named the total.
Ooh, I don't know who could have been that coach. Michael evolved into that shooter that he was, and Hakeem, but they would have been very good, especially off mid-range and things. And I just think they've been athletic as ridiculous. I tell you that, and would have really defended.
One of the things I give Jordan a lot of credit for, if Luke Longley was posting up and called for the ball, Jordan would throw it. And he knows how to leverage every position to the maximum. So he knows if I play with him, he will maximize my talent to complement his game.
Wow, that would have been something. I mean, I tell you, you're talking the premier big man of the era and the premier two-guard in the era on the same team would have been really something. He would have ran roughshod over everybody.
The Rockets' rotation might have looked something like this. John Lucas at the point, Jordan at the 2, Lewis Lloyd at the 3, Rodney McCray at the 4, Olajuwon at the 5. While guard Mitchell Wiggins, wing Robert Reed, and big man Jim Peterson would be the first 3 off the bench.
I think it would have been better than Shaq and Kobe. I mean, you know, as great as Kobe Bryant is and as great as Shaquille O'Neal is, I've heard Shaq talk about that the guy that he had the hardest time guarding was Hakeem Olajuwon. But you put the greatest player that's ever played along with arguably one of the top 5 centers that's ever played, it would have been something to see.
Well, oh my goodness, you know, Hakeem won 2 and Michael won 6. Yeah, I don't know how you would beat that team. If they had ever played together, Michael would have started winning championships sooner and Hakeem would have won more. That would have been devastating.
Obviously, it didn't happen. But in a what-if scenario, do you wish it could have happened? Would you have
No. I'm happy the way things turned out. I think I mean, I stayed in Houston. You know, we brought the first championship with the city. You know, very successful career. You know, I'm still here today, so I'm happy the way things turned out.